This is the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast, episode number 36. Hello and welcome to the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I'm your host, Karen McCann. Christmas Movie Screenwriter is a podcast about writing, producing, directing, and selling Christmas movies. You can find a transcript, show notes, and an action checklist on my website. Just go to christmasmoviescreenwriter.com and look for this episode, which is number 36. A quick few words about what I'm working on. I am about 90% done with the edit of my debut novel, and I hope to finish this weekend. And then next week, I hope to, I have a short list of editors, and I hope to hire one. And then in the meantime, I plan to write my next Christmas script. Now, in today's interview, I chat with screenwriter Nina Weinman. She has great tips on personalizing your email queries, how to come up with fresh ideas for Christmas scripts, and how to stay in the business for the long game. And now, here is the interview. Nina Weinman is a prolific television writer with more than 40 movies under her belt, specializing in seasonal and holiday rom-coms. She currently lives in Los Angeles with her husband and 2 teenage children who provide endless comedy that sometimes ends up in her scripts. In her free time, she loves spending time with her family, playing games, and singing Broadway show tunes at the top of her lungs. Not very well. Well, I doubt that. But thank you, Nina, for coming on the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, can you share your journey?
It's not very well, by the way. I do sing at the top of my lungs, especially in the car. And it's the voice only a mother could love, really. But
I think there's a story in there. I think there's a rom-com in there somewhere. I can already see it playing out. A woman who wants to be in a Broadway show. There you go. There's an idea.
Oh my gosh, that's my dream. If I could make a wish and a genie would pop out of the bottle and say, "What do you want?" "Oh, give me that voice, and then let me just be on Broadway for a minute."
Oh, very exciting.
I don't have it,
You got to write this. You got to write it. You got to write it, and then you can be an extra. You could be in the chorus.
Right. I could do that. I did a lot of theater as a kid, so I could definitely do that.
Good. Well, that is great. Well, you're sort of telling me your origin story, which is my first question. Can you share your journey of breaking into the industry as a Christmas movie screenwriter?
Yes. So my path was I worked a day job at a TV network. So while I was trying to break in, I was the assistant to the head of the movie department at Lifetime Television. Wow. So some of the people that I met in the TV movie world, and I left in 2007. So some of the people that I met back then in this job are still people I work with today. And
wow.
My very first job. So I had just written script after script after script. And, you send them out and you get this great feedback and we love it. You're such a great writer. Here are the 20 reasons why we're not going to buy your script, sign you, or, option or whatever. And for me, what was really important for me is I take my moments, I would mourn it, and then I would go, what's next? So I let the rejection and the disappointment fuel me and not break me. And I think that I credit that quality so much with why I'm still here today, because a lot of people I know didn't necessarily have the stomach for this business because it's hard. It's hard and it can knock you down and it is unforgiving and unfriendly sometimes. Yeah. But it's also a business of relationships. And so when you're an assistant, you're sort of the gatekeeper to the boss. And there were a lot of people that took the time to get to know me and that I established relationships with. And I think that's so important. And I'll say this, I remember the people who were really nice to me when I was an assistant, but I really remember the people who were not nice to me when I was an assistant. And the thing that I think people don't realize is today's assistant is tomorrow's studio head. I have friends that I came up with as an assistant Some are now out of the business, and some are now running studios and networks and things. So it
Wow.
is
Wow.
it is a business of growth, and some people really climb up the ladder. So a lot of the people that I met at that time were people who took the time to get to know me, who were like, "Oh, you're a writer, let me read your script," So I cultivated those
Nice.
relationships. And then my boss, who was the head of all of Lifetime, left Lifetime
Wow.
and went over to Hallmark. And I had a script
Perfect.
that was a Christmas movie that I was working on. I was trying to get Lifetime to buy from me, but they wouldn't, because I was an employee. So they were like, no, 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 no,
Oh,
we can't do that. You work here. So
oh,
I had put in my notice. I was about to get married. My husband at the time, we lived together. We had no kids. Our overhead was nothing. And he had a good job. And he said, you know what? I was at Lifetime for 7 years. And he's like, you've been doing this for 7 years. It's really hard to write scripts after a long day of work. And,
yeah.
taking care of somebody as an assistant, you're there to take care of your boss. And it's exhausting. So he's
Mm.
like, just quit your job. So I put in my notice, and then I thought that Hallmark, my old boss, who is now at Hallmark, was going to buy this script from me. This is in 2007. I leave my job. The first writer strike happens, the
Oh
2007
no.
2008 strike. So all my
Oh no.
projects went poof, goodbye, and nothing happened then. That movie actually did eventually get made in 2015. So now
Oh,
here I am. I don't have a job. I think maybe I'm going to get my first script sale. That doesn't happen. We get married. And it was, and I'm just writing scripts. This is my full-time job now. I'm writing scripts. And I had heard that Hallmark needed a wedding movie. And this is when Hallmark, so this is in 2009 now. So it's 18 months
okay.
after I quit my job. I
Oh,
am pregnant. I'm now married. I'm pregnant. I hear they needed a wedding movie, so I sit down and I just write a wedding movie. Like inspired by the Philadelphia Story, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
oh,
And I
okay.
just like write this movie called Backyard Wedding. And I send it to Barbara, who is the head of Hallmark. And I had a job interview on this one day because I was like, I got to take a job. I need to get a job.
Yeah.
I can't keep doing this. My husband's, we need two incomes.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I have a job interview, and I was doing acupuncture, like pregnancy acupuncture, because I had
Oh,
had a miscarriage. So I'm doing it to get my body in balance and stuff and make sure that everything is good. So I'm in acupuncture that morning, and I'm just like, fantasizing about, oh, it would be so great if I could call this company and say, I can't do the interview because the job was pretty much mine. I was meeting with the boss who was some crazy billionaire guy. I was just fantasizing, like, oh, what if I just could call them and say, oh, you know what? I can't take the job. I sold a script. And that happened. I get an
wow.
email later that day from Barbara Fisher saying, we're buying Backyard Wedding. And I was like, I called them and I was like, I can't take the job. I sold a script.
Oh,
And that was
wow.
my first. And then I sold them my second. And then, it's really a process of at the time that I got in at Hallmark in 2009, they weren't making that many movies. Countdown to Christmas hadn't happened yet. It was a
Right.
couple years away still. They made maybe three movies at Christmas,
Oh,
not a ton.
wow.
And so then I sold them my second movie, and that was called Annie Claus is Coming to Town. So that was my first Christmas movie that I wrote. And to this day, people still tell me it's one of their favorites, that they
Oh,
loved it.
neat.
But then, it was a process of now I'm in the door, and now I have to deliver, and I have to prove
Yes.
myself, and I have to be
Yeah.
somebody that they want to come back to. And so
Right.
then I just kept pitching and selling and kept going. And then the work started to come to me, which
Wow.
is as a writer, the biggest blessing that you can ask for is
Yeah.
when somebody comes to you and says, we have a book and we want you to adapt it. And all you have to do is sign on the dotted line to get that job. So those are the best.
Wow.
Those, yeah.
Nice.
So that was my beginnings. It was really for me, relationships that I
Oh, well,
established.
that is that. Wow, good on you. And being you made those connections and you kept your eyes open and you were an excellent assistant. So people remembered that. Wow, that's inspiring. Now,
Yeah.
how no
Great.
talking? Go ahead.
It was great. I mean, I'm just like, it was all a great experience because also that job not only led me to my career, but was the best education I could have gotten
Oh
in
yeah,
how to write and make movies.
Yeah, yeah. You really had a front row seat. That is a great job. Now, how do you balance meeting audience expectations while staying fresh and not predictable or cliche when writing a Christmas movie?
So this is always the challenge for us, especially those of us who've written so many of these. What haven't I done yet? And the answer is nothing. It's all been done. However, and I can't talk about it, but yesterday I got word that I sold one, um,
Woohoo!
a Christmas movie that will maybe for 2026, maybe for after that. It just depends on how development goes. It's nothing
Wow,
that we've ever seen on the network.
wow.
So, it's a very unique kind of story. So that to me is exciting because it's going to be a tricky one to write. It's going to be a hard one. But we feel really strongly about it and I think I can say that I'm working with Ashley Williams on it and her husband Neil, who is Neil Dodson, who's a producer. So they're producing it with me. And it was one of those that I think they probably bought it because they've never done anything like it.
When you say hard to write, did you sell a pitch or did you sell a spec script?
It was a pitch.
Oh, congratulations.
It's a pitch. I don't really have time to write spec scripts because
Okay.
thank you, Hallmark. They keep me so busy that
Wow,
I do a lot of rewrites
fantastic.
for them. I do
Fantastic.
quite a few rewrites per year for them. I just had a movie that aired last month, or maybe it was in January. That was a rewrite that they came to me on a Thursday, and the movie started prep on Monday. So
Oh, oh,
they were 3 weeks to camera, and so I had to kind of step in there
wow. Wow.
and right the ship a little bit.
Wow.
So that happens quite a bit when it's, a movie that they want to make and maybe it's just not quite there yet.
Okay.
So there's a handful of us that they call quite often for rewrites,
Nice.
which is
Nice.
also such a blessing. Just all of a sudden it's like, here's a job, fall in your
Okay.
lap. Can you do this? Can you do this in the next month? And you're like, yep,
Yeah. Yeah. You always
answer
want to say
now.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my
Yes, so
next
the
question.
challenge of keeping things fresh and different is it's really for me, I think what it comes down to is who are who are some like characters or character traits that I've never portrayed before? What's a location that we haven't seen? What is just trying to figure out what a new way in to
Right.
something that maybe we've seen 100 times before. And it's challenging to do that.
Oh, I bet. Now,
It is, but that's the fun of it, figuring out how to
yeah.
put the puzzle
Yeah.
together.
That's where the creativity comes in.
Yeah.
Now, my next question was going to say after you finish a script, but I'm going to change that word to pitch since you don't need to write specs anymore. After you finish a pitch and it's ready to go out, what's your next step and how do you move it towards production?
So generally, it depends if I'm working on it by myself or if I'm working on it with producers or with talent, with maybe I have an actor that I'm working on something with. Um, in fact, I had a conversation just yesterday, and I'm having another conversation today. I have something with Tyler Hines, and we're like, who do we want to send this to? Who is the best
Oh,
executive for the sensibilities
wow.
for this particular project? So
Wow.
we try to decide like who's going to respond to this the best. What information do we have that we feel like this it's this executive is the one. So because we all know all of them and they're all fantastic and they all have different sensibilities.
Right.
So, who's going to respond to this material in the most positive way? And then we bring it in, we do a pitch. Sometimes we want to do a live pitch. Sometimes they'll go, I'm so busy, just send me the pages. And we generally will have, a two to three page pitch document. In some cases, with the Tyler one, it's like a 7 or 8 page document. It's very detailed treatment. Um, and in some cases, it's a concept and it's a paragraph, and we go, is this an arena that you'd be interested in?
Okay.
And sometimes they'll come to me and say, this is an arena. Can you come up with a take?
Wow. That is great. Now, that is uh with all your connections at Hallmark and Lifetime, do people ever say I we kind of give you a hint about what they're looking for next year? Or is it more
Yeah.
like I just pitch what I want?
No, I've been, because they have a new boss right now
Right.
at
Right.
Hallmark that just came in January, and he's somebody from the brand guy from the Hallmark cards
Right. Right.
corporation who's been there for like his whole career, I think, and supposedly just super smart, like knows this brand and is really, honing in on the Hallmark brand. So he's now in charge of programming. So there's been a little bit of a what's the agenda kind of moment? What's the agenda
Mm,
moving forward with this new boss? So things have been
okay.
a little slow as they're figuring it out. And so I've done a lot of lunches and meetings with the executives to find out, what are you looking for? What is the new mandate with this new boss? What is what does he respond to? What is he looking for? Where is he looking to take this network? So that's what I've just been in, like, this information gathering stage right now.
I know that the fire is kind of disrupted. You know, you and I are both in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
it's middle of March as we're recording this. Um, is that still affecting Hallmark and the studios as far as you know, or is it they're sort of back to regular business?
So I actually spoke to a producer yesterday who lost his house,
Yikes.
and it's still like a lot of, for the people who are really negatively impacted by this, it's still very raw. And
Yeah. Yeah.
even he is like, okay, I'm ready to get back to work as, a
Mm.
good distraction from what I'm dealing with in my
Life,
real
real
life.
life. Yeah.
So I think that it definitely slowed things down for a couple of weeks because people weren't able to come into the office. It was really, as you know, it was really like our
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
city. We were
Shocking.
just in complete shock and mourning. Like nothing
Yeah.
like this had ever happened before. And just seeing how many people we all knew,
Wow. Yeah.
multiple people who were so devastated by this, that every day you'd hear about somebody else. So it was
Mm.
really like this collective mourning period,
Right.
and nobody
Right.
was able to do anything. It was almost like the beginning of COVID, where we were like,
Right.
what is this
Right.
that
Yeah.
we're dealing with? Um,
Yeah.
that it was just very emotional. And so I
Yeah.
think that also kind of delayed movement for
Right.
everybody with projects and
Mm.
pitches and things.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get back to normal pretty
Yeah,
soon.
I mean, it
Hopefully I
feels like that's kind of it's starting to obviously for the people who lost everything, it's just devastating, and it's not ever going to be
right.
normal again.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, it was a scary time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
as I'm sure you know, every single cell phone in the LA County area got an immediate evacuation notification erroneously. And we were all like, what is happening? Like, what do they know that we
Yes.
don't know
Yes.
that we're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
this? It was because we're pretty far from the epicenter of all of this,
Right.
but we
Right.
were still like with those winds and stuff, nobody was
No,
safe. It
no.
was really
Right.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah. You just never know.
Yeah.
Um, so how would you suggest screenwriters expand their network of producers? Do you suggest networking, film markets? If so, which ones, competitions or online platforms?
So I I've never done any of those things, like film markets or the online platforms or the contests. I what I recommend, because I have a lot of young writers ask me, like, how do I get my work out there? Well, first and foremost, watch the movies and look at the
Right.
name. Look at the names and see um what kind of movies are these producers making, that maybe the movies that you respond to, or you feel like that's my voice, or that's something
Right.
that I want to do. And I would say, Rita, it's really easy to find online, to find these producers, especially like the Canadian producers, and send them a query letter and say, I've got a project, I'm willing to sign a release, because that's one thing that a lot of places won't accept unsolicited scripts. Because for legal purposes, let's say I send you my script about a girl that comes home to her small town and does a Christmas parade. And then the next year, this same producer does a movie about a girl who comes home for Christmas and throws a Christmas parade.
Right.
I can be, that was my idea. I stole that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, somebody else just got there first, because it's happened to
Right.
me so much that
Oh.
I'll send in an idea and they'll go, we already have something almost exactly like that. That happens all the time.
Oh.
And somebody else just got there first. Nobody's stealing your idea. They don't need to. But that's why
Right.
they'll have you sign a release that releases them from any like liability. I'm not going to come back and sue you if you do a movie about a girl who comes home to her small town and throws the Christmas parade. So that I would say, reach out to these producers, offer to sign a release, and see if they'll take a look, because are they always looking for material? Yes, this is a numbers game, especially for some of these suppliers. The more pitches that I throw out there, the more likely I pitch 10 to sell two.
Okay.
That's kind of how it averages out. Um, Yesterday I got a sale, I also got a pass. It's like it kind of evens out in that way. Um, Networking, I think, is great. I don't know how or where you would go to network with the right people. I was on a panel at the Writers Guild a couple weeks ago, and a few of the Hallmark executives, they asked me to reach out and see if they would be on it. So they were on it. So they met a lot of people that day, but I don't know how many of these events like that they're doing or go to or even exist. Honestly, my
Right.
best my best advice is, if you're not like if you're living in LA and you're just starting out, get a job in the industry. You learn the
Yes.
politics, you learn the ins and outs, you learn how a movie gets made, you learn the lingo, and then you talk to someone and you sound like a professional,
Right.
that they kind of look at you like, oh, she gets it. So if you can get a job, as an assistant in the industry, I highly recommend that. That was my path. That's not everyone's path. But
Mm,
I'd say find the producers who make the movies that you like, reach out to them, reach out to them when you have material and not
mm.
before. And I would say if you're a new writer, you're not going to sell a pitch. If you're a new writer and you don't have any credits and you don't have a track record, they want to read a completed script. And
Right.
the other thing I say to newer writers is you need to have an arsenal of material because they're going to say, I loved it. What else have you got? They want to make sure that this is not just, you're not just a one-trick pony and you've been working on this one script for 12 years and you've perfected it. They want to know that you can recreate that magic. So have a
Right.
couple of scripts under your belt that when they go, great, what else have you got? You can go, well, I have this, this, this. What do you want? You want a thriller? You want this? This one's really my voice. You want another rom-com?
Do
Have a
you
body.
do you think it's okay to send a log line to a producer? I mean, I can't imagine you would say sign something for a log line.
That's a good question. I I don't think it's a problem to send a log line. Don't send the script until they ask for it.
Right, right.
But a log line, they may say, "Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen anything like that. Yeah, here's a release, sign it, send the script over." Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's okay. But also make sure that that script is in line with what this producer does. Like, let's say you've got a fantastic script and it's the best script you've ever written and it takes place in a World War II bunker. You're not going to send that to Hallmark, right? I used
Right,
to, when I
right.
worked at Lifetime, at the time, we were very much like true stories, women in peril, women, coming back from adversity. And get these because I was the assistant to the head of the department. Every movie department inquiry or whatever would come to me. And I was the gatekeeper of that. And I would get
Wow.
these emails and they'd send me like, I have a script I want to send to you. 14th century pirates are on the high seas. And I was like, have you
What?
work? Know
Obviously
who
not.
you're sending to, because that also makes you look like a professional. And say, I was watching the heart of the matter the other night and I saw your name and I thought it was really great about I loved the plot point where
Yeah,
Graciela does this with Jack. Like I
yeah,
think the more specific you are,
yeah.
the better that to me makes you look like, yeah, I'm paying attention. I'm
Right,
not just sending this letter to every producer on the list. I watched
right.
your movie. I thought you did a great job. I loved this moment. That's the kind of writing I want to do. Here's my log line. Can I send it to you? I'll sign a release.
That's great. That's good advice. Now, I know you don't attend film markets to pitch your projects. Do you rely on a rep to help you out with pitching? Since film markets, you don't need that?
So, I have a manager and he's been my manager for 17 years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we've been together almost as long as I've been with my husband. He's my other husband.
Work husband,
I've been
work
with him for
husband.
17 years. If I'm being honest, I've always gotten all my own work. He'll get
Okay.
calls about me and he'll say, I got a call from this producer. They were checking your avails. They want to know this. Here's the material. Are you interested? And that happens a lot, but I really have, because I established myself within this TV movie universe. I generally don't rely on him to, I rely on
Yeah.
him to strategize,
Oh, that's
but
good.
I get all my own work.
That's great. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Because some people, some young writers might, some beginning career writers may have this idealized version of what a rep can do. And I think more of a manager is more of a business coach.
Yeah, it really
Right.
is. And by the way, nobody cares about your career as much as you.
Right.
And if you sit
Right.
back and wait for the phone to ring,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna ring. It just
No.
doesn't. It's just not how it works. And especially agents, in the TV movie world, um, a TV movie is a one-off. The agents want a series because that's money, that episode after episode after
Right.
episode. So I've
Right.
never had agent. I've only ever had my manager because I've never had an agent come to me and say, I could do something for you that you're not already doing for
Uh,
yourself.
right,
They want to field calls, a lot of them. They don't want to have to try and sell someone.
right. And
They,
a TV movie is a one-off, so it's not like a series or even a a regular series. It's a one-off, which makes it like starting a new business every time.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's a one-time deal. And sometimes there's a sequel, sometimes there's, subsequent movies or whatever. But to me, I like that because
Yeah,
I'm a mom. I'm a working mom. The freedom that I have, I couldn't imagine being in a series writer's room for 10 hours
yeah,
a day. I'm there to put my
yeah,
kids to bed. I'm there to take them to
yeah,
school.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
to make my own hours. So having that kind of freedom is really priceless.
Yeah.
But again, like for me, the manager has been great. He is like a coach. And the funny thing is there was a Lifetime Achievement Award that was given through the Writers Guild years ago, and I always loved this quote. And it was a writer named Don Rio who has a sitcom writer. Like I think he did like Blossom and Empty Nest and a bunch of shows like that back in maybe the 80s. And he stood up and he said, I just want to thank my agents who believed in me when everybody else did. So that's his whole thing is not when nobody else did. They believed in me when everybody else did. So that's kind of to me,
That's
that really
great.
speaks to this business. It's kind of
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
wants you till everybody wants you. So you got
right,
to be your
right.
own advocate.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Now, what advice would you give to your younger self? I think you made all the right moves. I mean, you had the perfect job, but let's see what you say anyway.
I mean, what I would say is what I did and what I still say to young writers is don't let the no's break you, let them fuel you because this business is a large percentage of it is talent. You got to have the goods,
Right, right.
but it's those who persevere who make it because you've got to be at the table when your royal flush is drawn. If you walk
Yeah,
away
yeah,
from the table, then you're not going to get your royal flush. So you got to be sitting there. So keep coming back to the table.
exactly. Yeah, good, good, great advice. Now, to wrap up, would you like to share any social media details so our audience can keep track of your work?
So really the only one that I ever am on is Instagram. And on that, I'm Nina Weinman Swift. So my married name is Swift and no relation to Taylor. People always ask us, no to the trucking company. I had to marry one of the boring Swifts.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
But
Okay,
that's
I'm
my
definitely going to check that out. Well, Nina, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience. This has been very helpful, very educational, and
my
very
pleasure.
inspiring. Thank you for coming on the Christmas Movie
Thank
Screenwriter
you for
podcast
having
today.
me.
And now for my action checklist, I have 4 items for your action checklist from my interview with Nina. Number 1, personalize your pitch emails. Before contacting a producer, research their past projects and preferences. In your email, reference those previous films or areas of interest to demonstrate you've done your homework. Make your script stand out. Number 2, reimagine scripts for fresh pitch success. Review your scripts to find fresh characters, unexpected locations, and unique angles for familiar themes. Prepare tailored pitch documents highlighting fresh elements to intrigue executives, and study each executive's past projects to understand their preferences before pitching. Number 3, proactive networking strategies. Reach out directly to producers you admire. Offer to sign a release form to ease the process. Consider industry roles beyond writing, for example, assistant positions, to build connections and industry knowledge. And number 4, career advice and self advocacy. You must embrace perseverance. Don't let rejection derail your momentum. Well, that's the show. Thanks for listening. To show your support, please give us a 5-star rating on wherever you get your podcasts. And you can fuel more great content by buying me a hot cocoa just go to Buy Me a Coffee and look for the page Christmas Movie, and explore other great inspiring podcasts and blogs on my website at christmasmoviescreenwriter.com. I'm your host, Karen McCann, and I'll see you on the next Christmas Movie Screenwriter podcast. Bye.